This is Trinity Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto and Hinata were kidnapped by Raikage. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Hokage Office, Konoha, October 10th. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, sat on his desk, tiredly reading the damage reports from the Kyuubi no Kitsune incident a few hours before. Konoha had lost many fine and brave ninjas, including the young fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze. The Leaf Village would take years to fully recover. There were too many questions and little answers surrounding the Kyuubi's attack. What happened during Kushina Uzumaki's labor, and why was the fox released after the Anbu security detail, his wife Bawako, and Taji were all murdered? Kushina's work was classified, and only a few people were aware of it. The information he had didn't add up, and a critical piece of information was definitely missing. Unfortunately, no one who was there in the first place survived to tell the tale. Hiruzen wished Minato had told him what really happened before dropping Gamabunta on the Kyuubi to stop another deadly-tailed beastball and leaving to perform the 8 trigram seal on his son before he died with his wife Kushina. Thinking about the couple's son, the third Hokage immediately shifted his focus, set this question aside, and stood up to examine the cradle next to his desk. He would reflect on the incident later. The baby was sound asleep in his cradle. The third Hokage witnessed and would never forget Minato and Kushina's dying moments, as well as their parting words to their son. Despite being the god of shinobi, the most powerful shinobi, he picked up the baby in the cradle and looked at him with sad eyes. "I'm truly sorry, Naruto, you just lost your parents and were born in less than an hour and now have to bear this terrible burden. But I promised your mother that I would protect you." It was his secretary who knocked on his office door. "The council has met, Hokage-sama. They are expecting you." The third sighed in frustration. He knew the tedious civilian councilors would be there, thanks to Danzo Shimura, and he knew what they wanted to talk about. Hiruzen began walking to the council chamber after calling Anbu Dog to look after the baby. "Let's get this out of the way." Council Chamber of Konoha. The demon must be exterminated right now. Jiro Matsumaru, a civilian merchant councilor who had lost many of his properties and businesses, yelled for the civilian council's approval. "We must complete what the fourth begins." Fugaku Uchiha remained silent as the civilian councilors exchanged shouts and heated arguments, as did the majority of his fellow ninja councilors. The village leadership ordered the Uchiha clan not to engage the Kyuubi. However, some people began to believe that the mighty Uchihas were cowering in fear during the Kyuubi's attack. The Uchiha clan chief later discovered that the idea came from Danzo, that old war fuck. He'd talk to the Hokage about it later, not now, lest the council deteriorate further, but the Uchiha couldn't stop staring at the old cripple during the meeting. That warhawk didn't notice or care about it. Fugaku had been a good friend of Minato's, and his wife Makoto was also one of Kushina's 2 best friends. They were also aware that Kushina was about to give birth. Makoto wept for a while after learning of Kushina's death, but she had pulled herself together for the sake of their 2 sons. Hiyashi was also a good friend of Minato's, and his twin brother Hizashi was the best friend of the 4th Hokage. The Hyuga clan chief was also aware of Kushina's secret and royal lineage. His wife Hitomi was Kushina's other best friend, but the Uzumaki had a slightly better relationship with the Hyuga matriarch due to the Hyuga clan's political ties, and because Kushina was the land of Whirlpool's secret princess. When Whirlpool Country was defeated in the Second Ninja World War, it was later merged with Fire Country as a province. Kushina wielded enormous political power in fire politics due to the Whirlpool province's abundant resources, not to mention the Whirlpool province's strategic trade and transportation hub.
Hiyashi couldn't help but be saddened by the fact that Minato and Kushina had sealed the Kyuubi and died in order to save their son.
As a result, their son, Naruto, became the third Uzumaki to have the beast sealed within him. When Hitomi learned of her Uzumaki friend's death, she was devastated. The Hyuga husband had to comfort her for their unborn daughter before coming to this council meeting. When the door to the council chamber opened, everyone stood up to greet their village and military leader. Hiruzen took his seat, looked around the council chamber, and began to address the councillors. We've been through enough today. As you already know, Minato died, transforming the beast into a child. No. That little one is a weakened version of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Before the Hokage had finished his sentence, the entire civilian side and some minor clan heads erupted, refusing to believe the baby was the jailer. How else could he have those whisker marks? Silence. The Hokage yelled. If you continue to interrupt your Hokage, I will summon Enma to personally bat you over the village wall. Minato imbued the boy with the Kyuubi, and it was his final request that the boy be regarded as a hero for possessing the Kyuubi. The civilian side erupted in rage, believing that there was no way the Yondaime would want the child alive, who was more ridiculously regarded as a hero. Jiro became even angrier, slamming his fists on the table. Kill the beast before it completes its task. On the civilian council, Sakiri Haruno agreed with him. Yes. That thing had taken Minato-kun from us. Minato eventually led Konoha to victory in the bloody Third Shinobi World War and was hailed as the greatest war hero, later becoming the fourth Hokage. The female counselor was angry and upset because she had a big crush on the Yondaime since he started to get the moniker Konoha Yellow Flash knowing that he would be great, and she was right. Minato eventually led Konoha to victory in the bloody Third Shinobi World War and was hailed as the greatest war, but secretly she just wanted to have a big piece of his glory and to ride on his success and status, never worked a good thing herself to earn, as she believed she was entitled to live. The damned Kyuubi seized her opportunity. When a bandaged man raised his hand, the yelling and arguing came to a halt. I've got a better idea. Allow me to have the boy. I'll personally train him to be Konoha's best weapon, ensuring this village's dominance over the rest of the world. The destructive battle that created the Valley of the End between Hashirama Senju and his Mokuton and Madara Uchiha and the Kyuubi could not truly gauge the Kyuubi's power, but the sheer destruction on the village by the Kyuubi alone tonight demonstrated how magnificently powerful the beast was. It was unquestionably more powerful than the Hachibi seen during the previous war. The Kyuubi was indeed the most powerful superweapon, and the opportunity was too good to pass up. Danzo, Hiruzen furiously narrowed his eyes, suspecting the Warhawk's true intent. Someone interrupted him again just as he was about to speak to the darkness of the shinobi and calm down the civilian counselors. What? Are you crazy? Kill the monster before its full power returns. To the horror of the Hokage and the major clan heads, these civilian counselors were now demanding the public execution of the baby in order to appease the entire Konoha population. Hiruzen Sarutobi stood up from his seat and hammer-fisted his table, realizing the situation was out of hand. Enough. For the love of Kami. The Kyuubi will be released if Minato and Kushina's son dies. He unleashed a torrent of killing intent in order to silence the council. As a result, the chamber became so silent that a pin could be heard dropping. The major clan heads remained silent throughout, and the Hokage's outburst confirmed their suspicions. The Jinchuriki was, in fact, Minato Namikaze's son. Unfortunately, everything made sense. Minato couldn't expect any parent to offer their child if he couldn't do the same. After all, he was a Hokage. A great leader earns respect by setting a good example. On the other hand, the majority of clan heads had children this year. They shivered at the prospect of Minato arriving and ordering their child to become a human sacrifice. The civilians never thought about the parents of this demon boy. Until now, They had not given much thought to where the boy came from, and he should die for all their concerns. Many paled at the prospect of betraying the Yondaime Hokage by executing his son, but others shuddered at the prospect of releasing the beast. Shit, shit, shit. What did I do? Hiruzen couldn't believe his own mistake. There would be severe repercussions, similar to what other hidden villages would do if they discovered Naruto's lineage, particularly Iwa, where Minato had many powerful enemies. I can't put Naruto in an orphanage where he will be exposed to his parents' enemies. Hiruzen would never trust Danzo or the civilian counselors after witnessing how much trouble they had caused him due to their ignorance and greed. The professor recognized fools and greedy thieves when he saw them, and when he looked at the counselors, he knew many of them wanted to exploit the boy's revealed status and inheritance. Kushina Uzumaki was indeed pregnant with Minato's child. After the war, they married and honeymooned in Snow Country with Hiashi and Hitomi. With a sigh, the Sandaime acknowledged. Hiashi Hyuga rose to speak. Indeed, they, Hitomi, and I spent our honeymoon in Snow Country. Minato reasoned that having company would be enjoyable. The Hyuga clan head chuckled fondly as he remembered Minato and Kushina jokingly warning him not to look into their room with his Byakugan. The civilian counselors were astounded to learn that the Konoha war hero who single-handedly decimated an Iwa army in a matter of seconds had married shortly after Leaf's victory. No. That can't be right. Sakiri was completely delusory. While remembering the redhead tomboy, she slammed her hands on the table. What about the tomato? Why her out of all the girls? Everyone knew she despised the red habanero, but no one knew why. How did you get this information, Lord Hiashi? A civilian counselor inquired. The fourth Hokage inquired about Kushina's wedding ring. After all, I am his friend and I know the best jewelers, Hiashi responded and went on. Now, I see that the civilian counselors do not understand Fuinjutsu, but they think they are better than the Yondaime, a renowned seal master. Not to mention that they use Naruto as a scapegoat or Kyuubi in human form for this tragedy, which I find completely ridiculous. Hiruzen sighed deeply and rubbed his temples once more. I can't put Naruto-kun in an orphanage. Jiraiya was named Naruto's godfather, but he is unable to fulfill this duty because his spy network is currently in high demand. I need him to conduct counterintelligence around the world to ensure that Konoha remains strong following the Kyuubi's attack. The last thing we want to do now is expose our vulnerability and invite an attack from another hidden village. Everyone agreed with the Sandaime. The spy network of Toad Sanin was invaluable in these circumstances. It kept them one step ahead of their opponents in their defense of Konoha. Now I must decide which clan Naruto Namikaze will live in for his protection and well-being, the Hokage said, announcing a guardian candidate for the Yellow Flash's son. Wait. Why is there a clan? Why not consider a civilian foster family? Sakiri inquired. Despite the fact that her Yondaime Hokage was no longer alive, the ambitious civilian counselor still had a chance at power, status, and wealth. Minato's son was the same age as Sakura, her niece, and she could manipulate the two to get them together. The fortune, power, and prestige. It'll be mine, and he'll be wonderful with my niece once I teach her how to control him. Shikuka Nara simply sighed in frustration. Do you believe a civilian can handle any decent Chunin-level threat? Besides, you just called for his death and refused to accept the Yondaime's wish, so why should we trust you? Danzo raised his hand once more. Then entrust the boy to my care. I can teach him how to defend himself against his father's adversaries. Hiruzen gave him a cold stare. How can I trust you when you brought civilians into this ninja business? Hiashi stood up once more. Please, Hokage-sama, let me adopt Naruto. Minato was one of my best friends, as were Hitomi and Kushina. I don't have a son, but I swear I'll treat him like one. Fugaku stood up too. Please, Hokage-sama, let me look after Naruto. My 2 sons will accept Naruto as a brother. Hiruzen rubbed his chin, deep in thought. He made the decision in a matter of seconds. I have no doubt that Fugaku-san and Hiashi-san will look after and love Naruto-kun, but I believe that in the long run and politically, the Hyuga clan is better suited to look after Naruto due to Kushina's royalty status. She was the princess and ruler of Whirlpool Land. Naruto-kun is now the heir to the clans of Uzumaki and Namikaze, as well as the land of Whirlpool. As a result, I'd like Hiashi-san to teach the boy proper etiquette and politics when he grows up. He'll need them when he dons these mantles and inherits his parents' estate at the age of 17 or Chunin, whichever comes first. Fugaku frowned. His wife would be delighted to look after her best friend's son, but Sandame's reasoning was sound, and he couldn't argue with it. Despite the fact that the Uchiha clan was a clan of elite ninjas, he had to admit that the Hyuga bastards were superior in terms of politics and manners. Because the civilian councillors were unaware of the mentioned Uzumaki clan, Hiruzen had to give a brief lecture about how the Uzumaki clan was technically the unofficial third founder clan of Konoha because they provided valuable resources, funds, and Uzumaki Fuinjutsu knowledge to aid in the creation of Konoha. After all, Shodem's wife was an Uzumaki, which meant the Uzumaki clan had equal standing with the Senju and Uchiha clans. Only Konoha was the best in the seal arts among the 5 shinobi superpower villages after the Uzumaki clan's village, Uzushio, was destroyed by the combined attacks of Kiri, Kumo, and Iwa, as well as some minor hidden villages, due to their fear of their powerful seal techniques. The hidden Whirlpool village was outnumbered 10 to 1, but her ninjas were still able to inflict large enemy casualty and unbelievable kill ratio. Only a few of the enemy ninjas lived to tell the tale. The spiral mark on the back of Konoha's flak jacket was the Uzumaki clan crest, representing Konoha's friendship with Uzushio. Wow. Heir to a state, heir to 2 powerful clans, heir to the 4th Hokage, and Konoha heir. This boy will undoubtedly become extremely powerful in all areas. This fueled Sakiri's determination to amass power and wealth. I will have that wealth, power, and prestige. The Hokage turned to face the Hyuga clan's leader. Hiashi-san, please make sure Naruto-kun is well taken care of. I'll make a statement about him tomorrow, and if your people try anything, I will not spare them. Hiashi said this solemnly. Our friends were Minato and Kushina. I will do everything in my power to ensure that their son has a happy life. Good, the Hokage said, standing up from his chair in response to the Hyuga clan head's promise. This meeting has concluded. Good night, everyone. Please accompany me, Hiashi-san. The Hokage office. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked up at the frames of the 4 Hokages on the wall after watching the Hyuga clan leave with Naruto in his arms, escorted by his branch house bodyguards. Sensei, I hope the slip of the tongue was a blessing in disguise for your last descendant. He sighed and reached into his drawer for some sake. He'd drink a lot of it and then take a break before returning to his tedious paperwork duties. The Sandame bristled as he sipped from his cup and heard a knock at his office door. Despite the fact that the meeting had already ended, he knew who it was and what they wanted to discuss privately. Enter. The door opened to reveal the 3 village elders who had been expected: Danzo Shimura, Kaharu Utatane, and Homura Mitokado. The meeting is over. What else do you want to discuss? Sandame inquired sharply. Hiruzen, please reconsider the boy for the sake of Kono, Danzo pleaded. Do you remember what Mito-sama said about being a Jinchuriki to the Kyuubi no Kitsune? Hiruzen regarded them with suspicion. You truly believe that, don't you? The Jinchurikis must fill themselves with love to counter the Kyuubi's hatred and keep the seal from breaking. Your special training will one day come back to haunt you. And my choice is final. Shinobi's god smashed his sake cup on his table. The three elders were unable to respond, and they left the office without saying anything. Danzo scowled. His opponent had won this round. However, Konoha's darkness secretly vowed that one day he would obtain his weapon, the Kyuubi. This isn't over yet. House of the Uchiha clan head. Makoto was pleased that Itachi had assisted in the care of Sasuke during the Kyuubi's attack, and she was now watching the two boys sleep while waiting for her husband to return home. The house door made a soft knocking sound. I'm back. Makoto recognized the voice and moved quickly toward the source. Darling, how was the meeting? Same as always. Tiresome and troublesome, to quote that lazy bastard. Makoto laughed as Fugaku responded jokingly. By the way, Kushina's son Naruto is now in the custody of Hiashi. The Uchiha matriarch's eyes widened at the news. Fugaku appeared depressed. I tried to adopt him, but the Sandaime refused because of Kushina's royal lineage. I'm sorry, Makoto. I know you'd love to take care of your best friend's son. It's fine, Makoto assured her husband. As long as Naruto-kun is happy and we can always pay him a visit. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, darling. How about we pay Naruto-kun a visit at Haishi's house tomorrow? House of the Hyuga clan head.
Hitomi, Hizashi, and his wife Hana, who were holding their baby son Neji, were waiting for Hiashi to return from the council meeting, but they were surprised when Hiashi returned with a blonde baby.
Who is this baby, brother? Hizashi inquired, intrigued. His name is Naruto, and he is the son of Minato and Kushina. Hizashi's eyes widened as he realized this baby was his best friend's son. He's just like Neji-kun when he was born. Hitomi exclaimed. Hizashi and Hana smiled, pleased with their sister in comments. Laws. Honey, let me hold him, Hitomi said, holding out her hands for her husband to hand over Kushina's son. The Hyuga matriarch caressed Naruto as if he were her child. Hyuga, who was pregnant, shed a tear of sadness. The baby's face reminded her of her late best friend Kushina. Baby Naruto's hands reached out towards her swollen tummy and tightly gripped her maternity clothes, much to everyone's surprise. Hitomi smiled at her husband as she gently patted the baby's back and tummy. It appears Naruto-kun recognizes our daughter's beauty and can't wait for her to arrive in this world, Hitomi laughed again. I hope they can become good friends. The four Hyuga adults all smiled. The following day, a memorial service was held for those who died in the Kyuubi's attack, including Yondaime, Kushina, and Bawako. The Konoha villagers wept over the death of their beloved fourth Hokage. But there is still hope. Our fourth Hokage left us a legacy in the form of his son Naruto. Minato used his son to prevent the Kyuubi from destroying our village, and Naruto deserves to be regarded as a hero. Hiruzen informed the public. Many people were shocked by the revelations, but they understood and agreed to honor the fourth Hokage's wish. Being the son of a Hokage was akin to being a prince in Konoha. Everyone was overjoyed to learn that the Yellow Flash and the Red Death had given birth to a perfect son. Naruto Namikaze will carry on his parents' legacy and can bring the village a bright future. Everyone agreed and cheered when a villager said this. With the Hokage present at the clan meeting, Hiashi also made an announcement to his clan. To appease those elders, the Hyuga clan would be honored to raise a powerful heir of a state, clans, and to a Hokage in Konoha, as well as the benefits it would bring to the Hyuga clan. However, not everyone accepted this. A few days after the announcement, Naruto was assassinated. The Hyuga main house elder activated the seal of a branch house nanny and was about to juken strike the baby's heart. Hiyashi, thankfully, had stopped it in time when he heard the nanny scream and killed the elder. The elder did not lose any family members in the Kyuubi's attack, so the attempt was not motivated by hatred. The Hyuga clan head wondered if it was greed and glory that drove the killing of the demon, as well as political power within the Hyuga clan in the village. This incident enraged the Hokage, who was considering giving Naruto's custody to another clan. Hiyashi begged the Hokage for a second chance, fearful of the consequences. When Hitomi was unavailable, he promised to have a main house member he completely trusted look after Naruto. The Sandaime gave the Hyuga clan one more chance before dismissively criticizing their caged bird seal practice. Later in his office, Hiyashi Hyuga reflected on the wise Sandaimes and the astute Yondaime's opposing views on the unnecessary curse seal. He remembered his branded twin brother Hizashi, who had been placed in the branch house, and how their sibling bond had been severed. He reflected on the traditional caged bird seal. Is this Juin Fuinjutsu truly for the Hyuga clan's benefit? After 3 years. Until Naruto Namikaze visited Haishi's house 3 years ago, the atmosphere in the Hyuga clan was always strict and cold. Many Hyuga clansmen, including the ever-stoic Hiyashi, appreciated the blonde boy's warmth and cheerful attitudes. Some, however, were not pleased. There were even a few attempts on Naruto's life outside the Hyuga compound, but they were all foiled by Hiyashi and his clan members. The number gradually decreased due to the Hokage's severe punishment, a one-way ticket to the torture and interrogation department, much to the delight of a certain scarred captain as he began to practice enhancing his interrogation skills on his new practice targets. This paved the way for Ibiki Morino's later promotion to T&I department head. I'm going to thank the boy one day. The 10th of October. Hello, Gigi. Naruto affectionately called out and hugged Sandaime for attending his birthday party. Naruto celebrated his 3rd birthday today. The Hokage and many clan heads attended Naruto's birthday party in the Hyuga compound with their heirs, heiresses. Naruto received numerous gifts, including a nightcap from his godfather, who had written an apology letter for his absence. Many of the gifts were anonymously given by Hyuga branch house members. A month ago, Hinata was flanked by 2 main house elders, with a trembling branch house female member in front of them, her eyes watery. Hinata-sama, this is simple. Just do the hand seal we demonstrated, Elder Kakui instructed. She just happened to bump into me while cleaning the house and she already apologized, Hinata worriedly asked, having witnessed the terrible effect of the caged bird seal. How could she have deserved such a punishment? You are Hyuga's heiress. You should teach those low-ranking branch house members their proper place. They must be aware that they will be serving in the main house. Noboru, another arrogant elder, said. No. I'm not going to do it. This is not acceptable. They sighed as the young Hyuga heiress shook her head and defied their demand. Hinata-sama, I am disappointed in you. You are a failure to do the necessary task for a main house member. Kakui's tone was icy cold, and his remark hit home. When she spoke, they began to refer to her as weak. The young girl's eyes started to well up. That's all right. I'll do it on your behalf, heiress. You can thank me later. Noboru said mockingly as he prepared to activate the seal. Splash! Something brown struck the elders. They turned around to see Naruto Namikaze holding a mud ball in each hand. Hey! Don't make Hinata-chan and that auntie feel bad. The blonde boy yelled. He was about to throw the next mud ball at the two elders when Noboru and Kakui appeared in front of him. "You ruined our silk kimonos, you little brat. You have no idea how much they cost." Noboru slapped him on both cheeks before punching him in the stomach and forcing him to bend over. "I don't care if you're protected by Hiashi and the Hokage," Kakui said as he prepared another punch. "However, we are teaching you respect. Bullies have no respect from me." Naruto yelled angrily in a demonic tone. The sight of the boy's red-slitted eyes shocked and terrified the Hyuga elders. Aarrrhhhh. Naruto's sharp teeth buried deep into Kakui's right arm, causing him to scream. Before Noboru could react, the whiskered blonde slashed his right cheek with his left claw hand, leaving deep permanent scars. All other Hyuga members were drawn to the scene by the two elders' screams and the spike of Kyuubi chakra. Everyone was taken aback by what they witnessed, and they quickly separated the two parties before things escalated. Hitomi had to spend the entire afternoon soothing her surrogate daughter and son. In the end, this earned Hinata and Naruto the love and respect of the branch house, but the enmity of the majority of main house members, particularly the elders. There were a few gifts from the Hyuga main house members for Naruto, but only from Hinata and her parents. Naruto was overjoyed. He had a happy life and a loving surrogate family with the families of Hiashi and Hizashi. While the other adults in the party were enjoying the Hyuga's party, Fugaku Uchiha stood alone in a corner, leaning on a tree with his arms folded, watching Naruto play with other young children, including his sons Itachi and Sasuke. Looking at Naruto, he realized the boy had also been a victim of the Kyuubi's attack and was still dealing with a lot of hardship from the village. Many people still despised him and referred to him as the Kyuubi brat, or demon, and he was the target of several assassination attempts. Today also marked the 3-year anniversary of the Kyuubi's attack, which began the ostracization of the Uchiha clan. The allegations and insults leveled against Uchiha had grown increasingly serious. A few days after the attack, the Uchiha clan head complained to the village leadership, but was shot down by those 3 damned elders. 3 years ago, the Uchiha was beginning to lose his judgment. Anger was building up inside him. Fugaku had unknowingly activated his Sharingan, and it was spinning wildly, unbeknownst to the rest of the party. House of Sakiri Haruno. Sakura, Sakuri's niece, also attended Naruto's birthday, and the counselor saw it as an opportunity for Sakura to get closer to the boy. Sakuri was disappointed and upset when Sakura returned home from the party empty-handed, and told her what had happened. Naruto Namikaze was always loyal to the party's boys, especially the heirs of Uchiha, Nara, Inuzuka, and Akamichi. The blonde even played with the creepy Aburame clan's heir. Well, it's understandable that a boy his age would play with the other boys, she reasoned. However, Sakura revealed a troubling fact. The Hyuga heiress was the only girl Naruto felt comfortable with and had stuck by her throughout the party. When other girls invited Hinata to play, Naruto would always return to the boys. A few years later, the kids joined the academy and thus began their ninja career. To her chagrin, Minato-san Kunz and that freak-eyed Hyuga princess would eventually fall in love. She had to find a way to stop this from happening, whatever it took. The 27th of December. Today was a special day for the Hyuga clan because the Hyuga heiress turned 3. Hinata's birthday was celebrated with a party, followed by a private Hyuga traditional ceremony for all unmarked branch house children. Naruto's prank, on the other hand, ruined the ceremony. The ceremony was left unfinished, but the elders advised the Hyuga clan head to attend a more important event in Konoha so as not to offend the Hokage and the incoming guest. Today was also Konoha's greatest day since the end of the Third Shinobi World War. The conflicts with Kumogakure were to be resolved through a peace treaty. The majority of Konoha villagers were out on the streets to greet the arrival of the Kumo ambassador and the head ninja D. The Konoha villagers erupted in applause after the peace treaty was signed and the Hokage and the one-eyed Kumo head ninja shook hands. Hiruzen Sarutobi was relieved that everything went smoothly. No more life had to be wasted on meaningless conflicts. While everyone was leaving to celebrate the new era of peace, D walked through the cheering crowd and noticed Jiro Matsumaru, Sakiri Haruno, and some Hyuga elders among them. He gave each of them a quick glance and smiled. Hyuga clan head's house, midnight. Today was a very long day, but we have finally achieved peace, Hiyashi said to his wife as they finished their housework. It might be better if Naruto behaved better. Hitomi burst out laughing at her husband's joke. The kids were already fast asleep. The adults were getting ready to go to bed after finishing their chores. Hiyashi felt a chill run down his spine, and he activated his Byakugan to look into his daughter's room, where he saw someone. Hitomi, stay here. Hisashi rushed into their daughter's room, only to discover she was gone. No. He activated his Byakugan and scanned his entire house. He noticed an adult figure in Naruto's room carrying 2 sacks, and the boy was also missing. The figure bolted from the room. What is wrong with you? Hiyashi yelled. He dashed forward and caught up with the person near a Hyuga compound wall. He guessed correctly what was in the 2 sacks. Do you think you'll get away with it? He landed a blow on the kidnapper's unprotected right shoulder. The kidnapper was shocked and hurt, so he reacted by shooting a lightning jutsu at the Hyuga clan's head. As the lightning bolt struck Hiyashi in the chest, he cried out. He clenched his teeth and tried to stand, only to discover that he couldn't. No. The Hyuga father could only watch helplessly as the kidnapper fled before passing out. After a few hours, Hiruzen Sarutobi was stunned and enraged. His surrogate grandson and the Hyuga heiress had been kidnapped, just as the long-awaited peace had arrived. Was peace and prosperity too much to ask? Report, the Hokage said to the dog-masked Anbu captain standing in front of him. Nothing, it's as if they vanished overnight. Even Pakun couldn't track them down. The gray-haired Anbu shook his head sadly. Minato-sensei, I'm so sorry I let you down. All tracking teams at the Hokage's disposal were dispatched, but they couldn't find a single trace of Haishi's incapacitating lightning jutsu. Who was to blame for this? The Hokage was perplexed. Was it the Kumo ambassador who had just returned to Lightning Country after the treaty, or Danzo, or someone else? If Danzo is behind this, he has crossed a very fine line and is all but dead. Konoha was now in a critical situation without a Jinchuriki. Hiruzen was forced to call back his legendary students Jiraiya and Tsunade to help reinforce the village, among other measures. Jiraiya was going to be furious, and the Hokage was certain he was going to be chewed, but nothing could compare to the guilt he felt for failing Naruto's parents. Sarutobi sobbed as he looked up at Minato's Hokage portrait. Kushina, Minato. Please forgive me. Kumogakure Raikage Tower restricted basement room 10 days later. The basement room was a highly restricted area. It housed all of the powerful weapons, including Rakuto Senin's prized tools. Only those with the highest clearance could enter, but that didn't mean the room was always quiet. B. If you don't want to feel my iron claw, stop rapping right now. Despite his brother B's rapping, the 4th Raikage couldn't help but smile as he looked at his head ninja with 2 children sleeping behind him. The Hachibi Jinchuriki's rapping was only to cover up his inner conflicts about taking Minato's son and an innocent child with a bloodline limit. During their first encounter, Minato Namikaze spared him and his brother. Despite being an enemy, the Yellow Flash was one of the few who recognized him as a human, not just the tailed beast sealed within him. The fourth Hokage even forbade a certain warhawk from assassinating him. Was this how his brother expressed his gratitude for Minato's actions? For the benefit of Kumo? While B was thinking about this, he could hear the Hachibi grunting in disgust. The Raikage, flanked by his brother and the Jinchuriki to Nibi, Yugito Ni, was now the happiest and most powerful man in the ninja world. A had not only fulfilled his grandfather's wish by capturing an Uzumaki, but he also had a Hyuga, the Kyuubi, and the son of his arch-enemy Minato Namikaze. Minato had no idea why he named his son after a fish cake found in ramen, but that's irrelevant. I'd like to enroll the girl in the slave and breeding program, the Raikage said. When Yugito heard the program, she flinched. As she received her order, a woman emerged from the shadows and knelt. Hi. H was looking at the Kumo leader. Let me remind you once more. If another girl in my slave and breeding program is harmed, you will be fired. Do I make myself visible? This program was also used as an incentive for his elite shinobi, and he needed to keep morale high among his troops. H gulped, certain that the word fired was literal, not figurative, and she nervously nodded, taking a sleeping Hinata and fleeing the room. B. You immediately take Minato's boy to the sealing team to suppress his memory. We'll start training him tomorrow. I'll give him a new name. We can start taking more aggressive actions once the boy becomes a full-fledged ninja. A sly grin appeared. An extra seal would be too risky for a Jinchuriki, especially since the 8-trigram seal was shrouded in mystery. The Raikage couldn't completely seal the boy's identity, so he had to keep the boy's first name, but he could change his surname. Namikaze would undoubtedly attract a lot of attention. As he watched B take a sleeping Naruto away, the head ninja D smiled and asked for his big rewards. Before he could react, the Raikage grabbed his neck and lifted him off the ground. You moron. According to the extraction team reports, you were apprehended by the Hyuga clan head, and I told you to frame Iwa with an earth jutsu. You're not a lightning, and Konoha would probably suspect you. You are the head ninja, and you have let me down, moron. Now I have to clean up after you. However, D struggled and tried to justify himself, but the Yondaime Raikage snapped his neck and threw him into a corner. I don't leave anything hanging. Yugito. Get rid of this idiot. The Raikage remained in the room, reading the documents Yugito had given her before she left, and everyone had already left an hour before. It was reading the progress reports on all of the egg and sperm donations they had received from everyone with a bloodline limit, and she was thinking about which women would be surrogates to ensure that children with a bloodline limit were born. In 15 years, I will make Kumo more powerful, he read, putting all the kunoichis and slaves on female growth acceleration and fertility pills. The goal was to increase the rate of growth so that women could become pregnant at a younger age and have a better chance of getting pregnant. I then went through the reports for every man with a bloodline limit. To increase the potency of their sperms, all participants in the program took male growth acceleration and fertility pills. Elite male ninjas with no bloodline limit but significant promise were also allowed to enter the breeding program to pass on their own genes. After reading the reports satisfactorily, the Raikage looked at a specific wall in this room and smiled, which gradually grew into a maniacal laugh. He had a dream, no, an ambition that he could make come true. It was of the hidden cloud village conquering the entire ninja world and crushing all opponents, and it would undoubtedly become a reality when Kumo discovered the secret of his arch-signature enemy's technique that dominated battlefields. Hundreds of tri-pronged kunai were displayed on the wall. Flying Thunder God Kunai. 4 years later, late at night, at the Uchiha clan head's house. Makoto Uchiha had been wondering if Naruto and Hinata were safe for the past 4 years while doing housework and waiting for her family to return home. Konoha had been mobilized from the reserve forces to perform active duties despite being a housewife because the boy had gone missing and Konoha was in critically vulnerable positions without a Jinchuriki. However, a mission had gone horribly wrong, and the Uchiha Kunoichi had been severely injured. Her injury would take several years to heal. She could only do basic chores around the compound now, but that was sufficient for her family and clan. The Namikaze Hyuga incident heightened tensions between the village and the Uchiha clan. People accused and blamed the Uchiha police force for their inability to prevent the kidnapping of Naruto and Hinata. She appreciated Hiashi and Hitomi's support, but the tension had recently become unbearable. It was only a matter of time before it exploded, and Makoto wished there was a way to relieve the tension. To make matters worse, her husband Fugaku and her son Itachi had recently been acting strangely. The Uchiha clan head was always very late at the police headquarters with his fellow Uchiha policemen. The father and the eldest son became estranged, and the former often wondered about the latter's duty to the clan since he joined Anbu. Boom. A massive explosion nearly destroyed the Uchiha police headquarters, and several explosions rocked the entire Uchiha compound. When Sasuke Uchiha saw several bodies lying on the streets of the police headquarters, he froze and dropped his schoolbag. One of the bodies was his father's, much to his horror and distress, and he saw a figure holding a blood-stained ninjutsu. As the figure became clearer, the young boy's mouth dropped open in shock, unable to believe what he was seeing. It was his brother, Itachi Uchiha, who stank of murder and death. Scared, Sasuke fled, either to his home or out of the compound for safety. It didn't take Itachi long to grab his brother. What motivated you to do it? Why? Why? While looking at his idol brother, Sasuke cried out and demanded an answer. This is to test my capacity. Foolish little brother, Itachi said coldly, grabbing Sasuke's collar and pressing his face against his. You are unworthy of killing, but I will show you how I killed those people. Sasuke then noticed his brother's Sharingan transforming into a new form. Tsukuyomi. After an hour. Why would Itachi do something like this? The masked dog Anbu was stunned, unable to comprehend why his former Anbu teammate would commit such heinous crime. Enough with the talking. Now go find other survivors. Hiruzen Sarutobi issued an order, and all Anbu dispersed. Well, that settles everything, Danzo Shimura said quietly as he approached Sarutobi from behind. The Hokage glared angrily at the root leader. What does this mean? Don't you see the massive problem this has created? Considered relatively minor, the Uchiha clan will recover in a decade or two, the elder shrugged indifferently, his tone devoid of sympathy. Fortunately, Fugaku only conspired with the battle-capable Uchihas and not the rest of his clan. We should have wiped out the entire clan if we hadn't lost our weapon. Hiruzen's eyes widened as he heard his friend's words. Weapon? Is he referring to Naruto? This touched on a sensitive subject. Would you wipe out an entire clan? Is he some kind of monster? The darkness of shinobi made the Hokage glower. Danzo, I can't believe you, a village leader, could come up with such a genocidal plan. Where is your will of fire? The Sandame's furious glare surprised the root leader. However, Hiruzen, I did it. For the benefit of Konoha? The Hokage questioned him angrily, increasing the volume on each of his words. What you'd done had weakened Konoha even more. There may be a way to avoid the coup and the bloodshed. This cleansing. Not to mention your suggestion regarding genocide. Tell me, if Naruto is still in Konoha, you're going to kill every single child, woman, old person, and innocent of the Uchiha clan, aren't you? Hiruzen looked at Danzo's one eye, and it confirmed his worst fears. the darkness of shinobi would easily wipe out a clan. He clenched his teeth. I appreciate what you have done for Konoha in the past, but every clan and individual, including the Uchiha clan, is a part of Konoha. You've gone too far this time. Your root organization is being disbanded, and you are no longer the second in command. We will discuss this further later. The Hokage sighed in relief as he watched Danzo walk away. Thank you, Kami. I haven't told him about the secret agreement with Takigakure no Sato, or he would really wipe out the entire clan. A few days later, the entire world learned of the famous Uchiha clan's massacre at the hands of their prodigy and clan heir who went insane. Prior to the massacre, the villagers spit on the Uchiha clan. Now, people's attitudes had flipped and they were sympathetic to the clan. Makoto couldn't stop sobbing in her hospital bed after the Sandaime told her what had happened, which was an S-rank secret that no one else should know. Her husband had orchestrated a coup and her eldest son had been ordered to kill many Uchiha clansmen, including his father. Worse, her eldest son has been declared a missing nin and an S-rank criminal. There was a bounty on his head, alive or dead. Even being captured alive meant certain death. Ah! A wave of intense pain washed over the Uchiha matriarch. She quickly grabbed a mirror and gasped as she examined her own eyes. Her Sharingan had transformed into a 4-petal flower in each eye. Mangekyo Sharingan. I am one of the select few who have unlocked the Mangekyo Sharingan. She pondered her newfound power. She didn't give up hope because she still had her younger son, who was sleeping peacefully on the bed next to hers. I would use this power to protect everyone. My son, clan, and I will track down and rescue my 2 friends' children. Makoto Uchiha determinedly thought. There were many survivors of the massacre, but the Uchiha clan was no longer the most powerful clan. As a result, the Hyuga clan rose to become the most powerful clan in the village. While Sasuke Uchiha was still in the hospital, many flowers were placed on his bedside cupboard, the majority of which were from Sasuke fan club members. Elsewhere. Thump. Yomi's body was discovered dead on the forest floor, and a blonde-haired man stood behind him. Kumo shinobi with a bloody katana and icy sky-blue eyes, dressed in a standard Kumo Chunin flak jacket. After taking out their respective targets, 3 more Kumo ninjas appeared. Without saying anything, the blonde Kumo ninja calmly picked up a scroll from Yomi's body and tossed it to his team leader. Excellent. Naruto, the Raikage will be overjoyed with this. After reading the scroll's contents, Team Leader G stated. Team G was a member of the Raikage's Jutsu Acquisition Task Force, which was formed to strengthen the Hidden Cloud Village in all areas, including medicine. The team had just apprehended a wandering medical nin and his goons and taken valuable medical information before moving on to their next target. Who's next on your list, J? G inquired of his subordinate. Shino, another medical nin, and he was spotted not far from here at the Land of Hot Water. After reading the list, the Chunin responded. Alright, let's go, G said as he led his team on another hunt. Lightning Country 1 month later. Team G had arrived in a town and was on their way back home after a 3-month mission in which they had tracked down all of the targets and acquired their jutsus. The Kumo team had just passed by a bookstore where many people were queuing for the release of a new volume in a popular series, Uchiha Paradise. Naruto turned around when he heard a perverted giggle from a man heading home with a copy of the book. When the blonde noticed the author of Uchiha Paradise, Jiraiya, he got a headache and grimaced. Are you okay, Naruto? Concerned, the team leader inquired. Sure, I'm fine. It's just the porn that makes me gag. The blonde pointed to a large advertisement for Uchiha Paradise posted by the bookshop. Jiraiya, 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 one of the legendary Sannin, Of course every ninja in the world knows who he is, but why do I recognize him? Naruto remembered getting a headache when the academy briefly taught him about the Sannin, but this time it was worse. Naruto's words perplexed G. What? Do you think Uchiha is a pornographic character? C. The adult-only restriction on the cover is a dead giveaway. No, it's a work of art. People your age probably don't understand it yet, G fought valiantly. In fact, I pre-ordered a copy through the mail, which should arrive at my cousin's house tomorrow. Naruto and his teammates' hearts sank when their leader revealed the truth. Oh, don't tell my wife or the Raikage, okay? Sure. Kumogakure no Sato Raikage office. The AB combo was in the Raikage's office, having a conversation. B. How many years do you think it will be before Naruto can visit Turtle Island? The Raikage inquired. Since Naruto became a full-fledged ninja before the age of 5, the Hidden Cloud Village has begun to take aggressive actions. The Kumo chief was pleased and impressed with the blonde's growth, determination, and performance. Naruto earned his Chunin rank within a year of graduating, and he was only a few days away from turning 6. He was the son of the Red Death Kushina Uzumaki and the Yellow Flash Minato Namikaze. B was deep in thought, and it took him a minute to respond, at least another 2 years. The Kyuubi was extremely difficult to control, and I doubt Naruto could pass the waterfall test at this point. The Raikage reclined in his chair. Okay, 2 more years. I'll up his training and mission load to make him as strong as possible. 2 more years to subdue the Kyuubi and establish the Hidden Cloud Village as the world's supreme power. Everything went as planned by the Raikage. Kumogakure slave and breeding program facility 2 years later. Except for the reception and display hall, all facility areas were restricted to females only. Even the Raikage could not leave the hall unless absolutely necessary. The hall served to display all slaves to elite ninjas and allow them to choose their slaves as Raikage reward presents for their performance and merits. The slave reward was part of the Raikage's 10-year plan, a radical new social system that transformed Kumogakure into a fully militaristic village. A 9-year-old Hinata cried helplessly as she watched another of her friends, Riko, graduate, as the 13-year-old girl was taken away by a member of the Golden Horn Force. Hinata was well aware of what would happen to Riko when she arrived at her new master's house. The Hyuga could only hope that her friend would not suffer too much in her first encounter. The facility served as both a residence and a prison for slaves, as well as a training school for them. There was even an indoor sports field and a swimming pool where slaves could exercise and improve the health, development, and attractiveness of their bodies. Hinata's toddler memory was hazy. Her earliest, clearest, and only memory was of arriving at this facility as a slave student from the affiliated slave childcare center when she was 7 years old. She was only given an oversized ragged shirt. Slaves were not only taught how to do housework and other chores for their masters while they were away on missions, but also how to relax and please their masters through sex education. In every sex education lecture, slave students watched porn videos. Although there was no practice for the sake of purity, there was a live sex demonstration every week. A ninja who had paid for a B-rank mission arrived at the lecture hall with his slave and had sex in front of the students. Every week, a new position was introduced, causing everyone to blush in embarrassment. After that, there was an oral demonstration, and finally, the couple performed with the final and unexpected orifice, a filthy region that terrified the slave students. Later, Headmaster H told the slave students matter-of-factly that it was their job to please their masters on their demands, regardless of which orifice their masters desired. Hinata and her fellow slave students had protested that it was too filthy and obscene, only to be slapped across the face by H and her staff. They were then all punished. Slaves were also subjected to submission trainings, and those who disobeyed or made minor errors were stripped, placed on racks, and whipped by dominatrix staff, then healed later to prevent scarring. Hinata had received her fair share of chastisement over the years. The Hyuga gradually lost faith and hope, and she eventually gave up and accepted her fate as a slave. Finally, all of the slaves were programmed to believe that it was their duty and fate to please their elite shinobi masters and bear children for the sake of Kumo. When a slave was chosen by an elite ninja in the reception and display hall, she graduated. Hinata's spirit was crushed when most of her friends graduated, just as Riko vanished from her sight. She knew it was only a matter of time before an elite ninja arrived and claimed her as his property. I hope my boss is a good man. Cloud Valley and Lightning. With the wind release on your blade, you can finally stop the lightning chakra on my sword. I am confident that you will one day outperform me. B congratulated Naruto on his advanced kenjutsu and wind affinity. While panting, the blonde smiled weakly at his teacher's compliments. He had been training diligently and completing numerous missions for the past 6 years of his life. Excellent work, sir. As he approached the duo and looked at Naruto, A was clapping his hands. How about you get some sleep while I talk to B? Hi. Naruto bowed and walked away. After Naruto had left, the Raikage spoke to his brother. Do you believe Minato's boy is ready now? He was growing impatient to gain the power of the Kyuubi. He couldn't wait to get his hands on a third perfect Jinchuriki. Hachibi Jinchuriki was deep in thought. Naruto should be able to pass the waterfall test now, but I have some reservations about him facing the Kyuubi. The Nine Tails is far more powerful than the Hachibi, but with Hachibis and my assistance, he should be fine. He then faced his brother and nodded solemnly. Yes, he is prepared. Naruto returned 3 minutes later, refreshed himself by washing his face in the nearby river. B turned to face his Jinchuriki apprentice. We'll move on to the next stage of your training, Naruto. We'll go to Turtle Island, pack your belongings, and meet me at the gate in 2 hours. Hi. Raikage-sama and B-sensei, the blonde elite Chunin, bowed and walked away. Since Kumo kidnapped Naruto and the Hyuga girl, the Raikage had begun his 10-year plan, which was radical and controversial, but B had to accept it for the sake of his brother. A, on the other hand, became obsessed with his plan and became distant from his brother. Naruto, on the other hand, became more like a brother to him than A was. B wished Naruto would start calling him bro instead of sensei after they returned from Turtle Island. What are your thoughts, B? Do you believe he is of legal drinking age? B's thoughts were disrupted by A's question. Omoi always mentioned it to him, and I know you boys are always talking about big breasts. The Kumo leader remembered B taking his 2 male students Naruto and Omoi to peek on the Kumo hot springs on several occasions, but they were eventually caught and reported, earning B the wrath of his iron claw. In retrospect, B's influence probably worked in his favor. Naruto will undoubtedly look after her. He understands his responsibilities. I've heard a lot of females like him, and some of them want him to be their master. B smiled, and the Raikage raised an eyebrow, having heard the same rumor. Good, maybe Namikaze Uzumaki will be easier to breed. Imagine Kumo had a small army of powerful shinobi with high stamina, massive chakra, immense speed, and instantaneous reflexes, all wielding the legendary Flying Thunder God technique in the future. The boy never failed to astound the Raikage. Kumo obtained the Shadow Clone technique and other information from a Konoha Jonin 1 month before his throat was slit. Instead of creating a few shadow clones like all other Kumo Jonins, Naruto easily churned out at least 100 shadow clones. He'd only had a few hours to learn it, and he was only 9 years old. Namikaze and Uzumaki's true hybrid power. Consider how many shadow clones Naruto could create with the Kyuubi's power. All arranged for Samui, Karui, and Omoi to accompany you two to Turtle Island. It is time to deal with the Kyuubi. How did his new wind release technique come about, by the way? I was surprised when he created a jutsu that was similar to my grandfather's signature technique but used wind. The fourth Raikage was pleased that a technique similar to his father's had been developed, demonstrating how great he was. The Hachibi container grinned, knowing how much his brother would enjoy this. It is extremely sharp and can currently cut through 1 centimeter of thick steel. I have no doubt that this technique will become more powerful and lethal in the future, even penetrating Iwa's rock armors. Naruto's residence. His house was cold and deserted. Every time he walked into it, the blonde despised it. He had been living here since he was 4 years old, when he first became a ninja. It was quite comfortable, but it was far too large for a single person to live in. Naruto didn't like how quiet the house was, because it reminded him that no one was waiting for him to return home. He was by himself. The Raikage informed him that his parents were killed in a border clash with Konoha. Naruto inquired about his parents' appearance, but he was disappointed to learn that their photographs had all been destroyed in a house fire. It then reminded Naruto that he was the last of his Arashi clan line, and he had a duty to fulfill. He was to become a perfect weapon, like B-sensei and Yugito-sensei, to protect Kumo and crush their enemies, just as B-sensei and Yugito-sensei had done. When the Raikage's patience ran out and he smashed his desk into splinters, yelled, and seriously warned him not to ask about his parents again, the blonde stopped asking. The Jinchuriki was always envious of people who had families. He felt a pang in his heart every time he saw children with their parents. That's why he trained and went on missions non-stop. He didn't want to be too busy to think about his family. He cursed as he looked at the clock. Shit. The clock is ticking. I need to get packing as soon as possible. The third is Kumo. Jinchuriki quickly grabbed some Fuinjutsu scrolls to keep him entertained on the journey. For some reason, he was particularly skilled at seal arts. After packing his belongings and grabbing his katana, he dashed out the door to meet B. After a week, the Turtle Island. Naruto dragged his feet slowly toward B's house, having barely passed the waterfall test and triumphed over his darkness as B instructed. He only discovered he was a Jinchuriki 2 years ago, like his two teachers, B and Yugito. The revelation stunned him. He was speechless and terrified before breaking down and crying. Fortunately, B and Yugito were nearby. They were like brothers and sisters to him, and they frequently fed him his favorite food, ramen. But there was still an emptiness in his heart, and it hurt. The pain and loss on his heart outweighed the headaches and injuries sustained during missions or trainings. Despite the sun's blazing brightness, Naruto looked up and wished there was a way to fill this void in his heart. B's residence. Apart from J and K from his old Team G, Omoi was Naruto's best friend, but the blonde was perplexed as to why he, Karui, and Samui had to accompany him on his Jinchuriki training. It irritated him the most when Omoi exaggerated minor results and constantly argued with Karui over trivial matters. But these two people, along with Samui, remained his friends. Not to mention how an enraged Karui beat the hell out of Omoi when the latter said, "flat chest," at the end of their argument. "Knock it off, you two," Samui said before rubbing her back. "My back hurts, Kami." "It's because your boobies are growing into something big, hopefully as big as melons," says the doctor. Omoi's face revealed a perverted grin. Samui glared at him, but he continued to smile. Naruto sighed and rolled his eyes. "Kami, is there any way I can finally persuade Omoi to keep his mouth shut for the sake of his health? Also, Naruto, do you qualify for the elite shinobi program?" Omoi's question drew the attention of both Samui and Karui. Without saying anything, The whiskered blonde shrugged his shoulders. What? Oh, please. To get into that program, I had to beg B-sensei and take it with 5 others from our age group, and it wasn't easy for me to face one opponent after another. When B overheard their conversation, he laughed. Naruto, unlike you, can enter the program without a fuss because he has fought many strong opponents since he was 4 years old, not to mention he was the last Arashi. Anyway, the Raikage is impressed with your performance, Omoi, so I will suggest that you join the program as well. Many thanks, B-sensei. Omoi smiled broadly and wondered. Will the others be jealous and fight over me if I choose a girl from the breeding program? They might end up killing each other. This made Naruto break out in a cold sweat. Man, Omoi is overthinking it again. I assume you passed the waterfall test, Naruto? Hachibi Jinchuriki inquired. Certainly, B-sensei. We'll go to the Tailed Beast Temple tomorrow. Tailed Beast Temple, Jinchuriki Training Chamber the following day. Outside the chamber, Naruto poked his head inside the Nibi's statue, where he discovered a switch in its mouth that enabled him to open the chamber, while Samui, Karui, and Omoi looked on. The statue fell and the door opened, and they all freaked out when they saw Naruto's headless body emerge from the statue. Ha ha ha. The Jinchurikis both laughed while clutching their stomachs. B laughed even harder because he had previously done the same thing. So this is where I'll learn to control the chakra of the Kyuubi? Naruto looked at B, who nodded. Follow bro's instructions. Take some of the Kyuubi's chakra from all your trainings. Even a small amount is sufficient. We don't know what kind of seal your grandfather used. The knowledge died with him, and we couldn't find any of his notes on the subject. It wasn't entirely a lie, but the AB combo confirmed that the seal on Naruto's navel was stronger than the iron armor seal. Kumo had no idea because it came from the Uzumaki clan. Allow me to do it on my own, sensei. I want to earn the respect of my clan ancestors in the Raikage. The ninja in the shade was deep in thought. Should I let him do it on his own, even though Hachibi said yes? But we've seen Naruto pull off some insane stunts. The Kumo Guardian made a decision after looking into his Jinchuriki student's sky blue determined eyes. Everything in this room has been cut off. The door will open when you obtain the fox's chakra, and I will come to check on you at the end of the day. Thank you, B-sensei, Naruto said gratefully, then sat down in the middle of the room to meditate. He began to concentrate in order to enter his mind and finally meet the infamous Kyuubi no Kitsune. Do you think it's a good idea to leave Naruto alone, B-sensei? A concerned Samui inquired of B. Naruto has something to prove, and I'm confident he can do it, B said, adding, and when he's finished and old enough, he'll give Kumo a lot of strong ninjas. Naruto's mental landscape. The environment was dark and wet. It's as if you're inside a factory or a sewer, with water dripping from the pipes and the ceiling. There were a few cracks in the walls. Ice-cold water flooded the floor, and the shallow water had reached his ankles. Naruto discovered himself in a corridor with numerous doors and entrances. Come here, boy, a deep voice boomed down the corridor. Following the source of the voice, the blonde entered a large hall and discovered a large golden cage, which was held closed by a small paper tag with the kanji word, seal, written on it. Behind the cage stood the mighty Kyuubi no Kitsune, complete with 9 tails. The fox charged Naruto with his blood-red slitted eyes and massive fangs. What do I owe you for finally coming here, brat? The fox grinned, showing his rather large fangs, and the voice was powerful. He was perplexed as to why the boy was here, and he could feel the Hachibi's presence nearby. Don't call me a brat, Naruto retorted angrily. You're my prisoner in my body, so act accordingly and fight for my village. For the sake of Kumo. The corridor outside the hall echoed the Kyuubi no Kitsune's loud laugh the next second. The fox couldn't stop laughing. What are you laughing about? The blonde became even angrier. The fox made a shaky motion with his head. Because you are the one who is speaking. You, too, are a prisoner in your own body. Naruto cocked his brow. What exactly do you mean? You get sudden headaches now and then, and among them are images of white-eyed people and a girl with pale lavender eyes, don't you? In case you haven't noticed, your old memories are slowly resurfacing. The fox responded. Your memory has been suppressed. If you don't believe me, go back and look at the door in the corridor. Return there and look for the door at the end. That door contains your old memories, and I am confident you will discover something very interesting. After being conflicted by what the Kyuubi had just said, Naruto slowly returned to the corridor and discovered the door at the end that the fox had described. Wait, what the hell is that? The blonde was surprised and shocked to see a rather intricate seal on the door. He recognized it right away as a ninja who had studied seal arts. It's a memory-suppressing seal. Does the Raikage play tricks on me? He would never do that. Naruto regarded himself as a devoted Kumo ninja to his Raikage, and he remained suspicious of the Kyuubi's motives. Foxes were swindlers. It appears you still doubt me, said the Kyuubi no Kitsune from his cage. You only have two options. Keep that seal and continue to be that Raikage's puppet. The other option is to remove this memory seal, and I will make you an offer you can't refuse. Naruto paused for a moment before making a decision. He would accept the Kyuubi's offer. With nothing to lose, he suspected the Raikage in the hidden cloud village. The Kyuubi's shout stopped him just as he was about to remove the seal. Wait. Before you remove that memory seal, I recommend that you replace it with another seal, such as a storage seal, lest Kumo Nin and the Hachibi discover you broke your memory seal. You're an Uzumaki, so making a simple seal shouldn't be a problem. Uzumaki? What does this fox represent? Isn't that the extinct clan from Whirlpool Land? Naruto carefully removed the memory suppression seal before inserting a replacement seal. Ah. As his head was overloaded with memories, he immediately dropped to his knees, grabbed his head, and howled in agony. He stood back up a few minutes later, his headache gone, and slowly walked back to the cage room to face the Kyuubi. I finally know who I am. I recall. Naruto Namikaze here. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki's son. Kyuubi no Kitsune gave a nod. When the Yondaime Hokage sealed him into Naruto, he intended to consume the boy to break the seal, but things had changed. The fox turned to face his jailer. We have common enemies, and I will never again be someone's pet. We can assist one another, but first I will inform you of everything you need to know. For the first time in his life, the fox took a special interest in the human in front of him. Among the other two, he has something special about him, the Biju said as he lay down. He made the decision to tell Naruto about what had happened to him with Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Who is the first Hokage? Isn't he from another village, Konoha? Naruto was puzzled, but he kept listening. He discovered the Uzumaki clan and the Kyuubi's first host, Mito Uzumaki, who went on to become a Senju. The Kyuubi then told Naruto the history of Konoha, beginning with his birth as an heir to the Namikaze and Uzumaki clans in the land of Whirlpool. The third Hokage placed him with the Hyuga clan for protection before he and the Hyuga heiress were stolen when they were 3 years old. Something wasn't right. For a foreign ninja to get past Hyuga security meant it had to be an inside job, the fox reasoned. Naruto nodded as he heard this. He'd been in the Kumo Jutsu Acquisition Task Force for 2 years and was well aware that the Raikage was obsessed with dojutsu, bloodline limits, jutsu, and secrets. Who ripped you out of my mother and was responsible for my parents' deaths? Naruto demanded angrily. Madara Uchiha, and he enslaved me twice, the Kyuubi no Kitsune said, his eyes filled with rage and strength. Out of his cage, the fox extended his massive fist. My deal has one condition. I want Madara Uchiha dead. If you agree to the terms, give me a fist bump and you will gain some of my power and unique abilities, such as negative emotion sensing and Kaiden fire release. However, you currently have access to only 1/10 of my power. You will not receive my full power because there is a key to this blasted seal that completely restricts my chakra flows into your body. It will take several years for you to develop the strength to deal with my full power, but it will satisfy that Raikage. You assist me and the slaves in escaping Kumo, and in exchange, I promise you that I will slay Madara Uchiha and you will have your freedom when my time comes. By fist bumping with the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Naruto accepted the deal. He remembered another legend about foxes. They were loyal and honored their words no matter what. You know, this environment doesn't look particularly inviting to you. Allow me to improve it. When Naruto closed his eyes, the area transformed into a lush forest with a large lake, and the cage vanished. The fox felt something on his neck and discovered it was a collar with the kanji seal on it. At the very least, it's better than the cage. This boy is truly unique. He may have something special in him. The most powerful tailed beast was impressed. Okay, Kyuubi, do you have a name other than Kyuubi? It's strange to refer to you by the number of tails you have. Is there a name for each tailed beast? The fox's tails were flapping. My name is Kurama. After 2 hours, B was anxiously waiting outside the room, ready to assist Naruto if Kyuubi became uncontrollable. The door opened to reveal a blonde with an aura B had never seen before. I made it, Naruto boasted, raising his brows behind his shades. Oh? Show me, please. B and the Hachibi were intrigued by Naruto's new ability. The blonde sighed inwardly, knowing that asshole Raikage would want to see the outcome when they returned to the village. They'd find out the outcome of his access to Kurama's power sooner or later. His body was instantly shrouded in yellow chakra shroud with 6 Magatama marks around his neck as the Kyuubi Jinchuriki charged up his power. His hair stood up, revealing the seal on his stomach, with 1 black line flowing over his arms and legs and 1 swirl mark appearing on each of Naruto's arms. In awe, B and the Hachibi watched Naruto's transformation. Awesome. Naruto. You have access to the chakra of the Kyuubi. Terrific. B congratulated his fellow Jinchuriki, who returned the compliment with a smile. More can be extracted in the future. We'll be returning to the village tomorrow. This will make bro very happy. Enjoy. The Hachibi Jinchuriki began to rap and dance. He will. Naruto began to hide his emotions behind a mask of pride in his achievement. He'd have to act as if his memory was still sealed and he was still a devoted Kumo ninja. Late at night, B's house. After dinner, Naruto returned to his quarters. He sat on his bed, hands behind his head, staring at the ceilings. When he removed the memory suppression seal, his entire memory prior to the abduction returned. But there was something missing. He tried to recall the name and face of that girl with pale lavender eyes. Where has she gone? Naruto pondered, then became concerned. Does she belong to the slave and breeding program? He became terrified at the prospect of what might have happened to that girl in the breeding program. I hope she's still around. She is too young to be chosen. The blonde was confident in himself. Fortunately, I've now entered the elite shinobi program. I'm hoping to find her at the slave and breeding program facility. Please, Kami, keep her safe. The elite shinobi program and the slave and breeding program were two sides of the same coin, with the former being for males and the latter being for females. There was something else bothering him as well. What was the Raikage thinking?
Just to boost Kumo's global military power with his 10-year plan.
Is it really that straightforward? He had a sinister feeling about the plan. He rose from his bed and partially unsheathed his katana. However, I swear Raikage will pay for what he did to me and that Hyuga girl. He and the rest of the Kumogakure will bear the brunt of my wrath. The following day. After breakfast, the team would return to Kumo. Naruto decided he needed to get stronger. He knew he was strong enough to be a Kumo elite ninja, but he needed to be stronger to free the Kumo's victims and hold this village accountable. Naruto heard some moaning as he walked past B's room. He still has time to screw his girlfriend, man. It'll take at least an hour. Naruto groaned inwardly, but he was conflicted about his two teachers, B and Yugito. What role did they play in this scheme? He regarded them as brother and sister because they were kind to him and fellow Jinchurikis. I'll look for evidence before passing judgment. Yo, Omoi said to Naruto as he noticed him deep in thought. Is there something bothering you? Naruto's sigh caused Karui and Samui to raise their eyebrows. No, that's B-sensei enjoying his morning pleasure. Omoi erupted in laughter. B-sensei is extremely fortunate. When we return, I can't wait to get my own chick. Yeah, me too, Naruto responded. He couldn't wait to return to the hidden cloud village and find the girl with the pale lavender eyes, but he frowned at his best friend's desire to own a sex slave. Slavery is immoral. Samui turned to face her blonde teammate. Naruto, you were only 4 years old when you joined the academy for less than a year before becoming a genin. I believe you did not receive the procreation lessons, so I must remind you that Kumo needs to increase its military power as well as its population in order to compete with the other ninja villages. Everyone is contributing, including you. You are correct that I did not receive those lessons, but I am already aware of my responsibilities. Naruto responded by pretending to be a loyal Kumo ninja. Given that I am the last of the Arashi clan, I must restore my clan for the sake of the village. Samui nodded and stood up, walking to the table to retrieve her belongings. My older sister, like all the other girls, was 13 when she became pregnant. She has recently given birth. She was fortunate enough to have some magnetic bloodline limit, but she died during childbirth. She did her part and will be recognized for it. Karui expressed her sadness, her eyes glassy. Naruto was secretly enraged after learning more about the breeding project from his dark-skinned kunoichi teammate. Getting pregnant at the age of 12 or 13. This has to be a joke. Are the asshole Raikage and Kumo Council insane or power-hungry without regard for birth risks and human life? The blonde quickly realized that Cloud's leadership was unforgivable. It's just the way things are. And in a month, I'll start taking growth and fertility supplements, Karui stated. Omoi burst out laughing once more. I hope those growth supplements help you grow your boobs. Then he saw a fist coming at him. How can they talk about it so casually? They must have been brainwashed by their Kumo education. It's all Raikage's fault, and his 10-year plan. When B appeared and smiled at them, Naruto's thought was cut short. Are you ready to go home? Yeah, everyone said, nodding. Naruto gave him a serious expression. More than ever before. B noticed a fierce determination in his fellow Jinchuriki's sky-blue eyes when he looked into his. They were on their way back home on the boat. Looking in the direction of the Cloud Village, Naruto devised a strategy for learning everything from the Kumo's library and gathering evidence in secret. One day, I'm going to teach that steroid-induced Raikage and the rest of the Cloud leadership such a harsh lesson that future generations will remember their crimes forever. Kurama could be heard darkly chuckling.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.